Oh boy, we're actually going to go there in this particular video.
Anything you need, you got it. Anything at all.
Yep, and we need to talk about not just Epstein, but one of his close associates and friends, and that, of course, being Peter Nygard. That was literally running an abortion stem cell clinic that was meant to make him live forever. Luckily, he's behind bars now, as of course the emails, the retractions, the cover-up that is still continuing is just getting stranger by the day, as many victims are still coming forward and saying, yeah, the powerful predators, they are still out there. As in this particular video, I want to get into Vampire Man, a real-life vampire, as Alex Jones has been the tip of the spear, especially when it comes to this transhumanist eugenics type of operation that has been ongoing, that's connected to all the people that are connected to Epstein as well, including Epstein himself. We're going to get into it, as there's a lot of wild, crazy stuff to get into, and what many people are calling Canada's Epstein. France had their own Epstein too. Luckily, Peter Nygard still hasn't been self-taken out like Jean-Luc Bernet and like Epstein. As of course, we're going to get into what Epstein was doing, specifically with the scientific community, with the longevity community, with the transhumanist and trans community as well. Lots of very crazy, wild things to talk about. If you appreciate our conversations about this, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate all of the new subscribers on this brand new channel that's doing really well. Can't thank you guys enough for all of your support here. As the cover-up just keeps continuing, now we got a double retraction talking about pizza, which many people believe to be a code word, as the FBI has designated this as a potential word being used for children as well. We had one of the victims, Annie Farmer, on CNN. We played you the first half of her clip on the main channel today. We're going to play you the second half right now, because I think what she had to say here is important.
So obviously, people in positions of power continuing to be protected. The exact thing that the law was supposed to outline was not supposed to happen. And then third, we know that there is other pertinent information that has still not been released. Of course, people are continuing to sort through files. There is a lot, but you know, for example, my sister Maria Farmer, in the first release, we saw part of her 1996 report to the FBI where she outlined the theft of photos that she had taken for her art, but she also described her own assault at Les Wexner's property, and she described my assault at Zora Ranch. And I don't believe there's any way that those were not documented as well, and we're still not seeing that. Is it because it included other names of powerful people? You know, we don't know. But when they say we've released everything that's, you know, pertinent to this investigation, we're not buying it.
Yeah, when people said they wanted to see the Epstein list, they weren't talking about a list of underage girls that he assaulted. They're talking about the powerful people in his orbit and accountability for that.
And right now, we're getting disclosures, weird disclosures, anonymous sources and tips being conflated as actual reality. There's a bunch of fake news out there, which I believe is done a part of a larger kind of PR campaign. But this administration saying, yeah, we're going to move on from this. Thomas Massie is the bad guy here when he's responsible for all the releases here. People, a part of the DOJ, like Todd Blanche, saying, yeah, if we see something, we'll investigate it. And it's like, are you investigating? If we find something, we'll do it. It's like, are you? If we find something. And I'm like, there's a lot of like circumstantial proof and evidence and a lot of like weird things being released here. But I think the weirdest thing is the kind of larger connections, not just to the intel agencies, not just to the banking community, but to the longevity community as well here. Now, a lot of different people have different theories to why so many people are getting off the hook here, why so many predators and people accused here are being redacted and protected here by these DOJ releases. But I talked about that predominantly on my first video today on the main channel, but I wanted to talk about this guy. All right. Because this story is the big kind of like eye-opening, holy cow. You get a kind of purview into the world of the elites and what they're really up to by looking at this specific story. Is this guy, Peter Nygard, was called the Jeffrey Epstein of Canada. We have Sweet Marie saying, you think the Epstein files are bad? When until you realize vampires are real. The guy literally was acting like a vampire. He was like, oh, Yeah, eggs. There's a video of him. We're going to be playing it, talking to black models, be like, yeah, you're too old. I want 16-year-old eggs. As she says, this before and after is what happens when one of them misses a dose of the substance, quote Peter Nygard. What was the substance? Aborted fetal cells that were turned into stem cells, specifically from black women. Why? There's a scientific reason for that. As Peter Nygard was sentenced to 11 years in jail for assault, at least there was some justice here, as he was arrested at the age of 83. He's accused of using his wealth and power to commit 4 convicted assaults in Toronto. The Canadian former fashion mogul, again, lots of people in the fashion industry, Les Wexner's like, I own Victoria's Secret. Jeffrey Epstein running around being like, hey, I could make you a Victoria's Secret model. You want to become a Victoria's Secret model? Come to our lair. Come to the New Mexico ranch that you can't escape. Come and to this island that you can't escape. And, oh, look, all these people hurting you here. Look at that. You wanted to be a model, right? This is what it takes. There's also a lot of horror stories from Hollywood and a lot of other industries, specifically the fashion industry, where a lot of these like models, a lot of these actors, a lot of these rappers too, are told, hey, you're going to go here. We're going to videotape you. You're going to do some awful stuff and we're going to make you famous. There's a lot. Look at what was happening with P. Diddy, bringing in Bieber, bringing in Usher when they were still small children. This is an epidemic of predatory type of behavior in the highest echelons of all of our society. Now, before talking about that and a lot more, just really quickly, we wanted to tell you about wearechange.shop. As of course, people are looking for longevity. Don't force people to have aborted fetuses and use them in stem cells. Don't do that. Go to wearechange.shop and do a more holistic, natural approach and get things like tea. This is like the weirdest ad read I ever did for my own products. I made sure to source these products myself. We have organic lemon ginger green tea, and then we have a white peach tea. Really great tea, loose leaf tea, so there's no microplastics in it. I love tea. I just started drinking tea once a day now, and a lot of people believe drinking tea is increasing the activation of the longevity gene FOXO3. People say green tea also helps reduce inflammation, fight some sicknesses, allegedly promote calmness, improve brain health, improve fat loss, and much more. I've noticed a big difference in my digestion, too, taking hot tea, especially after a big lunch. People are talking about how tea consumption lowers all-cause mortality and cardiovascular mortality risk. I really like it, and I really do enjoy it. Some people who can't have coffee because they get too anxious with it are going to things like tea. Tea rich in oxidants, brain function, heart health, weight management, hydration, relaxation. Now, some people are saying this is the disadvantages. You have caffeine, all right? We have some tea that messes with iron absorption. Some people are saying kidney stones, disruptive sleep, especially if you take too much caffeine before the day. So just be aware of all of those things before getting yourself some tea. We only have 40 bags of the green tea, organic lemon ginger green tea, loose leaf available, and then we only have 68 of the peach tea. The peach tea is one that people get, and they're like, oh, this is amazing. I want more of this. This tastes really, really good, and it's really high quality stuff. So get it. Get yourself a little strainer, and man, this stuff, you get a big bag of it too. Like this is like, I think, yeah, this is a full bag of all the tea you're getting with our happy logo. Sip happens. Don't get tea bagged. And don't become Peter Nygard and force women to have your aborted fetuses. Yeah. That's helpful. Maybe don't do all this horrible, evil, decrepit vampire type of activity. As we were finding out, the 11-year sentence is reduced to take into account the time he has already spent behind bars, as he has spent 6.7 years left to serve and will be eligible for full parole after 1/3 of that. Nygard, 83, was found guilty by a Toronto jury on 4 counts of assault last November. He was acquitted on a 5th count of assault, and 1 count was of forceful confinement. Come be a model. I'm in the cell, in the dungeon, in the tunnel. That's the type of stuff that went on. During the 6-week trial, the Ontario Superior Court heard testimony from 5 complainants who said that during a period of time in the late 1980s to about 2005, Nygard had attacked them in private bedroom suites on the top floor of the building. Canadian police arrested Nygard in the late 2020 at the request of the United States, where he was accused of using his business to lure women and girls for gratification. Toronto police laid their own charges against him about a year later. Nygard also faces charges of assault and forceful confinement in Manitoba and Quebec. He's fighting extradition to the U.S. Most of his crimes happen in the Bahamas. In the Bahamas, you're able to buy off a lot of politicians, right? The Bahamas are like, oh, yeah, this guy. There's a reason Epstein was donating to all of the politicians in St. Thomas and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And there's a crazy video of him talking to black models about their placentas, umbilical cords, period blood, their eggs, and all this other stuff. And guess what? Surprise, surprise, surprise. Nygard, seen here with Prince Andrew. Who else was Prince Andrew hanging out with about and lying about and saying that he can't sweat? That's why he's innocent of any type of alleged assault that he committed against multiple people? Oh, yeah, that guy, Prince Andrew. We also have to understand here, it's not just Prince Andrew. There's other people involved here. People are saying it's kind of weird how Richard Branson also was hanging out with Nygard, and then you see Branson hanging out with Epstein. And of course, it is also alleged that Nygard and Epstein were friends and colluded together and working together. As Dr. Catherine, PhD, says, what are the chances of a person being connected to 2 traffickers, Branson and Peter Nygard? Branson was the co-sponsor of the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Interesting. During the time, Epstein and Maxwell had many visits to the Clinton White House. Maxwell was involved with the creation of the Clinton Foundation. Epstein was also bragging like, hey, I created the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation was just like USAID, but done in a way where a lot of people accused the banksters and the elites of money laundering and using it as a way to get funds for purported social justice causes, and then they pocketed the money a lot of the times. It was like a money laundering operation, according to a lot of people. I was at the Clinton Global Initiative, the Clinton Foundation galas. I got kicked out multiple times. I confronted a lot of people there. They were really pissed at me for being there. I asked Bill Clinton a lot of very serious questions. They weren't happy about that. And then I found out later Maxwell was there the whole time when I was there confronting all these people. As we're finding out that Branson hosted the S-slave cult Nixium on his private island, which included the Brofman sisters, Sarah and Claire. Epstein and his business connections with Edgar and Charles Brofman. These people are doing insidious things under the guise of philanthropy. This is what Catherine, PhD, says. And again, a lot of this philanthropy has been kind of spearheaded by David Rockefeller. David Rockefeller, another person that created the kind of modern medical industry that got rid of holistic health, and a lot of people see as something that has caused a lot of tremendous negative effects in exchange for huge record profits. So philanthropy was always the kind of excuse for the Rothschilds, Rockefellers to launder, use their money. That's why they doubled in high art, which is money laundering to the highest extent, to say the least here. And then, of course, we have this creepy clip here. Alex Jones discussing this. Alex Jones was on top of this. He's the one that kind of broke through this. I was going to play this, just the clip by itself, but I was like, no, man, we got to give credit to where credit's due with Alex Jones here, since he's talking about this as well. And I think it's of utmost critical importance. And then we're going to connect it to the new email drops with Epstein related to the other scientific community that he was involved in, the longevity committee that he was involved in, as of course, this is all a plan, and this is the kind of aspect here that a lot of people fail to grasp. This is the kind of transhumanist AI elites will live forever type of reality, and this is probably one of the reasons why we're not seeing any type of arrest here, because it's tied into artificial intelligence living forever and the elites essentially being gods on this earth. If you start to make arrests and start pressing buttons and start pressuring people, it's like, okay, no, you cannot have responsibility here. Therefore, it ruins the elite's plan to be gods over us. Yeah. When you think about it that way, it's like, huh. And it's like, oh, that's why they promoted transhumanism with the trans community. Oh, now it makes sense.
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you.
I'm prepared to outbid him anyway.
Whatever I bid, he's gonna outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable.
Super creepy, right? I pay $60,000 for eggs. It's not just eggs. It's like literally like, okay, we're buying your egg. Here, come to my dungeon. You stay in the tunnel. You're going to be forced to have a child. There's an email in the Epstein release that details a very similar activity here.
Umbilical cord, placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured and recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody, Him. And it's life for George R. Bush.
For someone. And Alex is right, yeah. It's for him, no one else.
No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. So
16 to 18 are the best eggs. Look at these women. And this is on camera. Now imagine the stuff that happens behind the scenes. As of course, he had his own medical facility set up in the Bahamas, where he was carrying this out and doing this.
Those are the best eggs.
16 to 18-year-olds.
Your eggs get weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine.
You're like, yeah, you're not a child. There's a 16-year-old that allegedly describes a very similar situation where she was forced allegedly to have Epstein's baby, and then the baby allegedly went missing, according to one of the accusations, according to one of the victims. Same MO, same type of details that we're seeing described here by Peter Nygard, saying 16-year-olds are the best.
I think that was my business anyway.
And notice he slaps him around like a pimp. By the way, you women are like 30. I want 16-year-olds. I mean, folks, and then he did it with a huge medical facility. So understand, we ain't in 2026. We're like at 2050 and vampires running. These are literal vampires.
And the young girl that...
Now, this is the stuff that they were doing in the 2000s. Imagine the stuff that they're doing now, since, of course, a lot of these people are still out there. Some of them haven't been caught, and they're still doing a lot of this crazy, weird, wild stuff.
That is on record that he actually took his own child. He had a child with a 14-year-old, and he was taking the stem cells from that baby. I think they brought it to term maybe 8 months, I believe.
Yeah.
And the later, of course, the better for them, and the more this disgusting, depraved behavior. My goodness.
And then started taking the cells right from the baby and injecting it into him.
Yeah.
He did it.
Well, that's one they kept alive, they told. So he's milking the baby.
Yes.
Yeah, and this explains the missing child accusation from Epstein from a 16-year-old that allegedly happened.
And I'm not gonna. There's hours of him on TV shows so arrogant about it on his jumbo jet with obviously underage girls dancing, all of it.
There's like disturbing photos of what looks clearly like small children around him, and him being like, "Oh, look at that."
Leaders coming in, his clients, medical facilities in the U.S., in Canada, in his own personal island, much bigger than Epstein's, huge medical facilities. And it's true. Anybody that took biology, even in high school, you know, what is a white person? Well, white, blue eyes, white skin, that's recessive. Dark hair, black skin is dominant. That's the original gene coding. And it's strangely enough, it's the same in horses or cows or anything.
That's why he was into black chicks. Epstein, on the other hand, was like, no black chicks. There's emails of him being like, no black chicks. And then he secured a lot of his victims from places like the Czech Republic, places from Turkey as well.
And so, you've got a dominant cell line, and then if you impregnate a Central African woman, that's the strongest genes there are, with your genes, whether you're black or white, whatever.
And there was an email from one of the biggest Hollywood brokers saying, hey, I'm going to Africa. You want me to bring you back some children? Very Madonna-like. Holy cannoli. Wow.
Then your body won't reject it. It'll fully absorb it. This is on record. And when I say 100 times, they don't even know. It's exponential life extension. I mean, Nygard was, like 80-something years old, looked like he was 50, his body. He's in prison right now because he would get these black women pregnant. Reportedly, he bragged about it. He liked to do it personally. but most of the guys would just send their sperm and they would put it in a petri dish, get the egg, fertilize.
Epstein had a whole entire eugenics operation that was most likely doing all this stuff and a lot more, and probably the latest, more updated stuff that wasn't just happening in the early 2000s.
And then they would put it in these black women, and then they would kill the baby at 8 months and take its bone marrow, its blood, everything, and inject it into Nygard. He said all of this. And he was big buddies and had George Herbert Walker Bush as a client and others. So...
Yep, you saw Peter Nygard hanging out with the Bushes all the time. Bushes that were connected to the CIA, connected to a lot of the kind of nefarious intel agency operations that a lot of people believe Epstein was connected to too.
So here he is with black supermodels trying to pitch them. They're all grossed out, but they would just ship in, and obviously the Caribbean's full of folks that, from Africa as well. But this is what they would do, and then that's in the new emails with Epstein at Zorro Ranch admitting surrogates and girls having babies that they then signed over. And then now we have the witness reports going back over the years saying the same thing. So it's all confirmed now. And
yep. Now imagine the non-consensual stuff that they did, right? Because you think these guys believe in consent when they're like billionaires, the most powerful people in the world that just get to get away with all this horrible stuff and crimes and no.
It's all in this 3 million documents. Okay, so remember, all you hear about is Trump's guilty, he's involved, blah, blah, with no evidence. If he is, we'll go after him. My frustration is that Trump's not going after them for this.
That's the big frustration here, right? Because like people are seeing this and they're gonna kind of getting a preview of the life behind the curtain, and they're like, wow, like all these people are involved here. We have all these like health gurus like Peter Attia being like, I want to add more life to your sex life, and I'm like, he already was a convicted predator, and you're trying to add more, like trying to make him better at sex through health hacking. Peter Attia has some serious things to answer to.
That's where he's guilty. No one wants to talk about that. So go ahead, Thomas.
It's like if I'm going to the grocery store, right? You have the heirloom eggs, and they're blue and yellow, and
exactly.
And they have the most nutrients as opposed to another egg.
That's right.
That's
Black people, you're the heirloom egg.
Yes, exactly. They have the heirloom egg. You're going to get the most nutrients, and from their point of view, what they're looking for, that's what they want, which is strange because, I mean, even in these Epstein emails, he seems to really want to stay away from blacks when it comes to sexually, but I'm sure he knew the same information that Nygard did and was tapped into splicing and doing stuff with their genetics. But apparently...
Gene altering. Of course, Epstein was in communication with Harvard scientists about transing children. He was in communications with gene splicing companies that would genetically alter. Why would he be doing that? Let's ask that question. Why would he be doing that? As of course now you look at what Peter Nygard, a literal vampire, was doing, and you're telling me all those guys that all hang out together weren't doing all of that stuff together?
He didn't sexually fantasize blacks.
Yeah, people that don't know biology, this is a fact how this works. Okay, and it's not like X-Men. It's not bad to be a mutant, but you'll see like the black nationalists and the black Israelites. They'll go, "You're mutants. You're a cave dweller." Well, it's true. Like people went up to the frozen north, and it was super dangerous. And if you didn't have long-term pre-planning and all sorts of organizational skills, you would die. And
he's talking about the kind of genetic differences that have been kind of inherited within us, as well as the necessity to build shelter and tools that a lot of kind of biologists are looking into, explaining some of the more, some would say, stereotypical behaviors based on people's races.
In sub-Saharan areas and equatorial areas, it's all about how fast you are, how strong you are. It's all about, because there's plenty of food.
It's the African bee analogy. If you're looking into that, look at the African bee theory out there. That does explain some of the stuff. There's also a lot when it comes to the very interesting kind of conversations about Israeli tribes that were surrounded by a lot of enemies that had to have different skill traits to deal with that type of scenario that some people still say allegedly is inherently with that. Now, again, not all stereotypes are true, but there is a lot of kind of genetic kind of gene truth here that deserves to be at least talked about in an honest, non-racist, non-hateful type of way.
You go into half the year, it's 20 below zero. That's why there's associated higher IQs and all that stuff. As you go north, whether it's Asians or whatever, it's just because it was selectively so dangerous. But it did cause mutations off of the original hard coding.
And that's why a lot of people say Asians, specifically Japanese, have very high IQ.
A lot of Ashkenazi Jews actually have a broken gene that causes a lot of like cancers and things like that, to where their organs can basically attack themselves. And this is a known thing. So I mean, Epstein being Ashkenazi, I'm wondering if he had some serious health concerns himself, which made him.
He had very low T. When you have low T, you have a lot of very serious health issues, mental health issues. Low T men are also more prone to lying. There's a very fascinating study about that. If you're a man, make sure your T levels are good. Try to first naturally fix it, working out, sprinting, sleeping, eating healthy. A lot of people just like, yeah, I'll just start. You're going to have to inject yourself for the rest of your life with that stuff. Something happens, a big national emergency, you can't get it. And it's just, you become like frailer and frailer by the day. Joe Rogan takes a microdose. He's very old, but he looks very young. Women are starting to take microdoses of testosterone as well. And what happens with them is very fascinating. As a lot of people recommend that as their own form of kind of longevity.
Really seek after all this stuff to modify.
That's right, because beyond
body.
what Northern Europeans and Japanese, Northern Asians have issues, you have Ashkenazis heavily inbred. So then you add to that compliment where he had an egg-shaped deformed penis and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, deformations are true, especially when it comes to inbreeding. And that's why a lot of people believe that is also related to sociopathic type of behavior. The royal families, British royalty and other kind of royalty, also very inbred, explains a lot of their type of genetic defects and probability of being sociopathic.
Yeah, it causes paranoia, psychopath. You can also get super high IQs, but a lot of mental illness.
I didn't watch this video before Alex did, and we're kind of like finishing each other's statements here, which is pretty wild.
And paranoia. All right, so since I mentioned it, here's Peter Nygard in prison for this now, and you go into all the details of it. Getting black women to have babies with them. It's your kid, so you don't reject the cells, so you can suck the kid dry and kill it. This is vampires that drain their own children. Here it is.
Yeah, and this is the public stuff, right? This is, camera's rolling, guys. We're going to show the world this. And he's like, just blatantly like talking about it. Like, yeah, 16-year-olds, yeah.
Stem cell technology that Peter and I are investing in that's called SCNT, which takes.
They did it all in the Bahamas, huge facilities. Politicians in the Bahamas just butt off, looked the other way. What? No, we're not seeing anything here. U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, all the politicians were heavily donated to by Epstein. Probably a bunch of other people heavily donated to them. I wouldn't be surprised Peter Nygard was buying all of them off. A lot of corruption in the Caribbean.
Takes the egg of a young, perfect woman specimen, takes the egg and takes out the nucleus.
He's looking at this woman and like pointing at her, and there, this woman's like, I'm not even. This woman's like freaked out. This woman's on her phone. Wild, crazy stuff here. That's unfolding. But this is the explanation of what legit
DNA in the nucleus. They just go in and take it out.
It's painful, right?
Huh?
Is it painful?
Yeah, a little bit. And this is part of this genetic greatness that we don't see in any other race on the planet. These curvy, sexy black women from Africa. You girls have a kind of a monopoly on this genetic perfection, and we want some of that. So
you saw that. We want it. They're not even hiding it. I'm just automatically like, what are they hiding? What else was done in the encrypted messaging? Because there was encrypted messaging. Epstein knew, hey, we can't talk about this on email. There's multiple emails with him being like, yeah, we can't talk about this on email. They would get on like video game chat rooms and they would talk about this type of stuff because they knew it was kind of a secure way to kind of talk. It no longer is. But that was one way that they communicated outside of any type of recorded record of it.
Girls, for $100, we will pay you for your egg.
No, you gotta be out of your monkey. You can get paid a lot more than that.
He's lowballing them. They're like mega billionaires. Like, we'll give you $100. What a cheapo! We'll give you $100 to be our slave. Where are all the like liberal woke people that are screaming about racism? Where are they? Where are they?
How much do you want for it? Let's bid.
Let's go. Come on, name your price. Be my slave. I will take your future babies and elongate my life with them by taking their lives. That's what they're saying. If he was honest, he's like, hey, I'm going to make you have my baby. Then I'm going to take the baby and hurt it and use it to live forever. You down? I'll give you $100. You want $100? $100, bro? Like, look at this guy. And then now they're negotiating here at the table.
I bid $500 for you. I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Right? Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
This is the oldest trick in the book, okay? So it's like, I haven't done this, but I've read about it. So you want to get your wife with the neighbor chick, whatever. It's like, have them over, have a few drinks. Oh, let's try on lingerie and have a lingerie judging contest. It's the same thing. Like, hey, ladies, how much for your egg? No, they don't want the egg. They want to impregnate you, have you bring it to term, suck the baby dry. He's in prison for it. So just think how they're selling him. Of course,
he's in prison for S assault in Canada. Now, what did he do in places like Africa, in the Bahamas, in the islands? What did he do on all those other places? Everyone's like, we don't know. The Trump DOJ is like, we're not looking into this. You're not? Trump's like, we got to move forward. We got to move past this. People don't want to talk about this anymore. Yeah, we do. We do.
of course, they're totally grossed out. These are supermodels. They don't do it. But this is what they got people to do. Continue.
About $60,000 for the eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable.
Oh, abortion.
Umbilical cord, you know.
Look how enthusiastic. Yeah, we had it. Like, demonic possession. Like, that explains everything. Like, literal vampires.
Placenta, even your period blood.
Hey, pause. Back up 10 seconds. These black women are getting grossed out like anybody would. They're at a table. He even looks like Count Dracula from the remake of the 90s. And they're at he's literally like an abortion. He's an abortion. He's literally like, and this is, go back to it.
That's very valuable. Umbilical cord, placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste.
Pause.
Look at the women there. I'm like, what did I get myself into? I'm going to get trafficked. And a lot of these models are trafficked. A lot of these models are just like ritualistically hurt and abused. And it's just sickening type of stuff, right? And it kind of explains the kind of fashion industry. If you look at the fashion industry, so many top predators there. So many bad people there.
I want to hear the abortion part. Back up 30 seconds. And notice he's literally getting excited and then we have all the videos of him being injected with the blood of his dead kids. I mean, it's in the show. They put this on TV.
And he's saying that the period blood is rich in stem cells. So do you think he was just drinking it, or was there some type of process he would use the period blood?
Well, that's what the zygote, once the egg is dividing with the sperm, goes down and roots in and does it. It is. But he says, abortion, umbilical cord, and he goes, period blood. It's like when in the remake of Dracula, he like, oh, you cut yourself. He goes, oh, the blood. It's literally a real vampire. Here it is.
Look at that photo of him. Goodness gracious. I mean, people are like, yeah, demons don't exist. Yeah, the devil is just a made-up concept. Why do the elites worship them? Why do they do spirit cooking, calling in demons? Why do they act in a demonic, evil, vicious, vindictive, crazy, insane way?
You can get paid a lot more than that.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you. I'm prepared to outbid him anyway. Right? Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me. I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs. Yeah. If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, placenta.
He can't help himself. He's so excited.
Even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured and recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody,
Him.
And it's life for
George Herbert Bush.
They're the best.
Yep. What were the Bushes doing with all this stuff? That's the real kind of question. Are the Bushes doing this stuff? Why wouldn't they be? Right? If you're hanging out with all these powerful billionaires, power brokers that donate all this money to you and allow you to commit the crimes that they're doing, like, hey, on a caveat, hey, on a separate note, there's a reason David Rockefeller lived to like 100, right? Lord Jacob Rothschilds lived to a very old age. There's a reason. Most people don't. Why? They had all of this stuff available to them, and they did ungodly human type of experiments that we can't even fathom and imagine, that are probably far more worse than what we're hearing about now. This is just what we're hearing about. Imagine what you're not hearing about.
And he was taking the stem cells from that baby. I think they brought it to term maybe 8 months, I believe.
I think that was the beginning clip that was played here.
By the way, you're too old. I don't even want you.
And in these documents,
And the women go, that's fine. This ain't our business.
Yeah, they're like, you're in your 30s? Ugh, yeah. Only 16-year-olds for me. Wild.
in these Epstein documents, in the email.
It's not like I want to have a great life with you. I want to travel the world. I want to, do good things. No, I want your blood. Go ahead.
There's a lot of studies on genetic editing. It ties into cloning and the
Epstein was into genetic editing babies and designer babies. He was into all that stuff and was in on it very early on.
viruses and stuff and vaccines, but
It's in the Epstein files.
Yeah, Epstein was also talking about how emails are a perfect way for hacking, body hacking, mRNA stuff. He literally discussed that. I'm going to have to do a separate video on this because this topic is just getting crazier. There's a lot of other people implicated here, allegedly. Some people are showing a photo of what looks like Robert De Niro. I don't know if that's him. Wouldn't surprise me if it actually was here. But this case here, I mean, it just gets darker. And this is an important aspect here. The Epstein files are dark. East Africa trip, Kenyan safaris, Myzine visited, Somali mentioned, can bring a little baby back for you or two. Who said that? Peggy Segal. I can bring back a little baby for you or two. What? That's where all the aid groups, CIA groups go. As people are saying, Africa was treated like a hunting ground. Who says this? Peggy Segal, one of the biggest power brokers and players in Hollywood. Right? You're telling me they didn't steal African children? You're telling me Bill Gates' obsession with helping out Africa isn't related to this? As of course, he's working on all this stuff. Epstein and Bill Gates, according to all of the circumstantial evidence, were working on a lot of scientific experiments together. You think they're not working? You think the billionaire elite class are not working on life extension, living forever type of tech? That's going to be the next video on the main channel. I'm going to release it Saturday. This video is coming out on Friday on the backup channel. There's a lot to talk about, especially now with artificial intelligence coming out, people being called useless eaters, Bill Gates and Epstein literally talking about how we need to get rid of poor people, and other guys like, hey, I ever heard your discussion about getting rid of poor people with Bill Gates? I have a way we could do that. Yeah, this is why I say the disclosures and accountability are so important here, because if the elites are able to get away with this, they're able to rub in their like horrible vampire predatory behavior. They send a message to the world saying, yeah, we're the elites. We get to hurt you and your child and you can't do anything about it. And there's no one that could stop us. That's the message Trump is sending by not holding these guys accountable. Trump needs to hold these guys accountable, because if not, it's open season on everyone. Open season on you, your children, and there's nothing you can ever do about it. police departments, judges, prosecutors, politicians, media moguls, all of them conspired. Children were hurt here. Vastly more than we could even fathom and imagine in more ungodly ways than this. And now we're finally awakening up to this idea. And it's like, okay, do something. Stop them. Prevent them from doing this again. And all we're getting is, I think people want to move on. Oh, yeah, we'll do something, maybe. You need to do something. It is of utmost critical importance. I still haven't been able to get into the Epstein longevity stuff. There's so much stuff. Shouts out to Alex for doing an incredible job here. The 16-year-old that had a diary entry about her child being spoken, the eugenics operation, him working with all these longevity guys, Brian Johnson lying about his meetings with Epstein, gynecologists being involved here. Lots of really creepy stuff here. We'll get into all of it in the next video. Subscribe, click the notification button. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for getting our tea. We only have a few of the bags left. Get them while supplies last. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys doing that, and this is why. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more, all here exclusively on youtube.com/Luke Radowski 76.